You want to know what it feels like to be someone's emotional punching bag? To have your sister treat you like her personal 911 operator while you're sitting there, just waiting for even a crumb of that same energy back? Well, I found out exactly how to flip that script. And let me tell you, the look on her face when she finally got a taste of her own medicine? Pure poetry. But yo, before I tell you how I psychologically destroyed my sister's entire worldview using nothing but her own tactics against her, and I mean destroyed, smash that like button if you've ever been someone's backup plan, tell me in the comments about the most disrespectful person in your family, and subscribe because honey, this revenge story is about to get so satisfying you'll be taking notes. Welcome back to HOA Fallout. It's 2 a.m. I'm dead asleep, dreaming about, I don't know, winning the lottery or something normal. And my phone starts screaming. Not buzzing. Screaming. I bolt upright, heart hammering against my ribs, thinking someone's in the hospital. Someone's dying. The house is on fire. You know that feeling, right? When your phone goes off in the middle of the night and your brain immediately jumps to the worst possible scenario? I grab my phone with shaking hands, and there it is. 7. Texts from Emma. My little sister. All caps. Emergency. Call me now. I need you. So I'm scrambling, trying to call her back. My fingers are shaking, I can barely hit the right buttons because I'm terrified something horrible has happened. The phone rings once, twice, and she picks up, crying about a Netflix password. A Netflix password. I thought someone was dead, Emma. But no, she couldn't remember if her password was Princess 123 or Princess 321, and she absolutely had to binge watch some show right then because she couldn't sleep. And you know what I did? You know what pathetic, doormat version of myself did in that moment? I stayed on the phone for 45 minutes helping her reset her password and listening to her complain about how stressful her life was. 45 minutes. At 2 a.m. on a work night. But that's just Tuesday in the life of being Emma's big brother, right? That's just normal. Because somehow, somewhere along the way, I became her personal IT support, therapist, life coach, and crisis hotline all rolled into one convenient package. And the sick part? The really twisted part that I didn't even realize until way later? I actually felt good about it. Like, proud of myself for being there for her. Look at me, I'm such a good brother. I'm so reliable. I'm so supportive. Meanwhile, Emma's training me like a freaking Pavlov's dog. Phone buzzes, I jump. She says emergency, I drop everything. She needs something, I deliver. Every single time. But here's where this story gets really ugly, guys. Because while I'm out here acting like Emma's personal assistant, responding to her texts faster than her own shadow. When I needed her, nothing. Radio silence. Complete and total radio silence. Let me tell you about the time that broke me. The time that made me realize I wasn't her brother anymore, I was just her employee. 8 months ago, I went through the worst period of my adult life. My boss, this absolute psychopath, is basically trying to force me to quit by making my life hell. I'm talking about the kind of workplace bullying that keeps you up at night, makes you dread getting out of bed, makes you question your own sanity. I'm sitting in my car after work one day, hands shaking, feeling like I'm about to have a complete breakdown. And I think, you know what? I should call Emma. She's my sister. She'll understand. She'll help me figure this out. So, I text her. And I'm really careful about how I word it because I don't want to sound dramatic, but I need her to understand this is serious. I write, hey, having a really rough time at work lately. My boss is making my life miserable and I'm honestly not sure how much more I can take. Could really use someone to talk to if you have a few minutes. I'm kind of struggling here. You know how long it took her to respond to that message? The message where I'm basically telling her I'm falling apart? 2 days. 2 days. While I'm checking my phone every 5 minutes, wondering if maybe she didn't see it, maybe it didn't go through, maybe she's just busy and she'll call me later. And during those 2 days? She's posting Instagram stories every 3 hours. She's active on Facebook. She's commenting on TikToks. She saw my message. She just decided it wasn't important enough to respond to. When she finally did text back, it was like nothing had happened. "Oh hey. Sorry, I've been super busy. What's up?" No acknowledgement of the fact that I'd said I was struggling. No apology for the delay. Just a casual dismissal of my crisis. You know what I did? I minimized everything. Told her it was no big deal, that I'd figured it out on my own. Because by that point, I'd spent 2 days dealing with my emotional breakdown alone, working through it, talking to other friends instead. The moment had passed, and Emma had missed it completely. But the moment that pushed me over the edge, the moment that made me snap and decide to teach this girl a lesson she'd never forget, happened 3 months ago. I had been planning this camping trip with my college buddies for months. We'd all taken time off work, booked the campsite, bought supplies. It was going to be our first real reunion in years. I was genuinely excited about it, and had been looking forward to it for weeks. The night before I was supposed to leave, Emma called me sobbing. And I mean sobbing, barely coherent, hyperventilating, crying. My first thought is that someone died or she was in danger. I'm ready to cancel my entire trip and drive to her apartment immediately. You know what the emergency was? Her boyfriend of 3 months had broken up with her earlier that day. 3 months, guys. 3 months of casual dating with a guy she'd been complaining about constantly. She'd literally told me the week before that she was thinking about ending things with him anyway because he was boring. But in that moment, listening to her cry, I felt that familiar tug of guilt and responsibility. The little voice in my head said, "She's your sister. She needs you. You should be there for her." So I called my friends, made up some excuse about a family emergency, and canceled the trip I'd been planning for months. Spent the entire weekend on Emma's couch, listening to her alternate between crying about the breakup and ranting about how all men are trash. Ordered her favorite takeout, brought her ice cream, let her monopolize every conversation with her feelings about this guy she barely even liked. And here's the kicker that made me realize I was the biggest idiot on the planet. 2 weeks later, I found out through social media that Emma had started dating someone new. Not only that, but she'd apparently gone out on dates with this new guy the same weekend I'd canceled my camping trip to comfort her about her devastating breakup. When I brought it up to her, she just shrugged it off. "Oh yeah, Mike introduced me to Tyler at that party last Friday. We really hit it off." No acknowledgement of the fact that she'd made me believe she was too heartbroken to function just days earlier. No recognition that I'd sacrificed something important to me to be there for what was apparently just another Tuesday for her. That's when the light bulb went off in my brain. This wasn't about being a supportive sibling anymore. This was about Emma using my guilt and my love for her to manipulate me into being her on-demand emotional support system, while offering absolutely nothing in return. And the text message thing? That was just the tip of the iceberg. Let me paint you a picture of how this usually played out. Emma would text me things like, "Can you call me? Having a crisis." And I'd drop whatever I was doing and call immediately, only to find out her crisis was something like not being able to decide between 2 Netflix shows to watch. Or she'd send, "OMG, I need advice right now about this work situation." So I'd text back immediately with thoughtful questions, trying to help her figure out whatever workplace drama she was dealing with. Meanwhile, when I'd text her about something, anything, the response time was completely different. "Hey, want to grab dinner this weekend? Been a while since we hung out." 3 days later, "Oh sorry. Just saw this. I already have plans. This weekend." Or, "Saw a movie that reminded me of you. Hope you're doing well." Radio silence. Not even an acknowledgement. "Mom mentioned you were stressed about your job situation. Want to talk about it?" 4 days later, "Thanks but I'm fine now." It was like I existed in 2 different categories in her mind. When she needed something from me, I was the most important person in the world, someone who should be available instantly at all times. When I was trying to maintain a normal, reciprocal relationship with her, I was basically invisible. And the most frustrating part was that she genuinely didn't seem to see the imbalance. In her mind, I was just being a good brother by responding quickly to her needs. And when she took days to respond to me, it wasn't intentional rudeness, she was just busy, or forgot, or didn't see it. But here's the thing about patterns of behavior, they reveal priorities. When someone consistently responds to certain people immediately and others after days of delay, it's not about being forgetful. It's about what they value and who they think deserves their immediate attention. I started paying closer attention to Emma's social media activity during the times when she wasn't responding to my texts. And guess what I found? She was constantly online, posting stories, liking photos, commenting on other people's posts. She was actively using her phone and actively choosing not to respond to me. That realization hit me like a punch to the gut. This wasn't about her being overwhelmed, or forgetful or busy. This was about her not prioritizing our relationship unless she needed something from me. I was her emergency contact, her crisis hotline, her backup plan, but I wasn't someone worth maintaining regular, respectful communication with. So I decided to try something different. Instead of confronting her directly, which would have just led to her getting defensive and making excuses, I decided to show her exactly what this felt like from the other side. The first opportunity came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was actually having a pretty good day, getting caught up on some work projects, when my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Hey, do you have mom's insurance info? I need it for a doctor's appointment tomorrow." In the past, I would have immediately stopped what I was doing, found the information, and sent it to her within minutes. That was the pattern we'd established. Emma asks, I deliver, instantly. But this time, I looked at that message and thought, what would happen if I responded to this the same way she responds to me? So I set my phone aside and went back to work. 24 hours later, exactly 24 hours, I picked up my phone and responded, "Oops, just saw this. Do you still need me to send it?" The response was immediate. And I mean immediate. "Yes, please. My appointment is in an hour." I could practically feel the panic through the text. She'd clearly been waiting for this information, probably checking her phone repeatedly, maybe even stress texting our mom asking if she had it instead. I sent her the insurance information, but something had shifted in my mind. For the first time in years, Emma had experienced what it felt like to need something from me and not get an instant response. And judging by how quickly she'd replied to my delayed message, it had stressed her out. Good. Now she knew how it felt. But I didn't say anything about the delay. I just acted exactly like she always did, like it was completely normal and not worth acknowledging. A few days later, another opportunity presented itself. "Can you pick up my prescription when you're out today? It's at the CVS near your apartment." Again, in the past, I would have immediately agreed and probably would have gone out of my way to make sure I got it to her as quickly as possible. But instead, I waited. 24 hours later, "Sorry. I would have picked it up if I'd seen this earlier. Do you still need it?" This time, her response was different. More frustrated. "I ended up having to take the bus across town to get it myself yesterday. Would have been nice to know you weren't going to help." And for a split second, I felt that familiar guilt creeping in. The voice in my head saying, "She needed help and you let her down. You're being petty and mean." But then I remembered all the times I needed help, all the times I'd reached out and gotten silence in return. All the times my needs had been dismissed or ignored while hers were treated as emergencies. So I responded the same way she always did when called out on her delayed responses. "Sorry, I didn't see your message until just now. I would have helped if I'd known sooner." Which was technically true. I didn't see her message until a day later because I had chosen not to look at it until a day later. Just like she chose when to see and respond to my messages. I kept this pattern going consistently. Every single text from Emma got the exact same treatment she'd been giving me for years. 24-hour delay, followed by a casual response. That implied I'd just seen the message for the first time. "Can you help me move this weekend?" 24 hours later, "Just saw this. I already have plans now, sorry. Do you know where mom keeps the good dishes?" 24 hours later. "Oops, missed this yesterday. They're in the china cabinet upstairs. Want to go to brunch Sunday? 24 hours later, I would have loved to, but I already made other plans. And here's what started happening, something I honestly hadn't expected. Emma began responding to my messages faster. It was subtle at first. Instead of taking 2 or 3 days to reply to my texts, she'd respond within a day. Then within a few hours. Then, after about a month of my consistent 24-hour delays, she started responding to most of my messages within an hour or 2. I don't think she consciously connected her faster response times to my slower ones. But subconsciously, she was learning what it felt like to send a message and wait for a response. She was experiencing the anxiety of needing something and not knowing when or if the other person would get back to you. And more importantly, she was starting to value the communication we did have because it wasn't guaranteed to be instant anymore. The real test came about 6 weeks into my new response strategy. Emma texted me on a Friday evening, having a really bad day. Could use someone to talk to if you're free. This was the first time in months that she'd reached out to me for emotional support rather than practical help. And every instinct in my body wanted to call her immediately. This was exactly the kind of message I'd been hoping to get from her, a real, vulnerable moment where she was letting me be there for her as more than just a problem solver. But I stuck to my pattern. 24 hours. Just saw this. Sorry. You had a rough day yesterday. Want to talk about it now, or are you feeling better? Her response surprised me. Actually, I'm doing better today. I talked it through with my therapist this morning. But thanks for offering to listen. Maybe we can catch up soon? And that's when I realized something profound was happening. By not being immediately available, I had actually encouraged Emma to develop other coping mechanisms and support systems. Instead of using me as her first resort for every problem, she was learning to process things on her own first, or to reach out to other people in her life. The dynamic between us was fundamentally shifting. About 2 months into my 24-hour response strategy, Emma did something that completely shocked me. She called instead of texting. "Hey," she said when I picked up. "I know I usually just text, but I realized we haven't actually talked in a while. How are you doing?" Not, "How are you doing because I need something from you." Not, "How are you doing but actually let me tell you about my problems first." Just a genuine question about my well-being. I was so surprised that I almost didn't know how to respond. When was the last time Emma had called me just to check in? When was the last time she'd asked about my life without it being a precursor to asking for a favor? We ended up talking for over an hour. About my work, my dating life, my hobbies, things we hadn't discussed in years because our conversations had become so focused on whatever crisis she was dealing with at the moment. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like I was talking to my sister, not my sister's personal assistant. But the real breakthrough came a few weeks later. Emma texted me, "Can you help me figure out this work situation? My boss is being weird about my project deadlines." I waited my usual 24 hours, then responded, "Just saw this. Still dealing with the work stuff?" Instead of a frustrated response about the delay, she wrote back, "Yeah, still figuring it out. But actually, can I ask you something? Have I been a bad sister lately?" That text stopped me in my tracks. "What do you mean?" I replied immediately, breaking my 24-hour pattern for the first time in months. "I don't know, I feel like we used to be closer. And I've been thinking about it, and I realized I probably only reach out to you when I need something. That's not fair. To you." I stared at that message for probably 10 minutes, trying to figure out how to respond. Part of me wanted to say, "Yes, you have been treating me unfairly, and I'm glad you finally see it." But a bigger part of me was just relieved that she'd come to this realization on her own. "I love you and I want to be there for you," I wrote back. "But yeah, sometimes it feels like our relationship is a little one-sided. I'd love to just hang out and catch up without there being a crisis to solve. Can we do that? Like, actually hang out? Maybe this weekend?" And that's exactly what we did. We met for coffee on Saturday morning, and for the first time in years, Emma put her phone away during our conversation. We talked about everything and nothing, childhood memories, stupid jokes, books we'd been reading, places we wanted to travel. It felt like getting my sister back. During that conversation, she brought up the response time thing without me having to mention it. "I think I've been treating you like you're always available," she said. "Like, expecting you to drop everything whenever I text, but then taking forever to respond when you reach out to me. That's not okay." I could have told her about my deliberate 24-hour strategy right then. Could have explained exactly what I'd been doing and why. But honestly, the outcome was more important than her knowing about the method. "I appreciate you saying that," I told her instead. "I just want us to have a relationship where we both feel valued and heard." "Me too. I'm going to do better." And she has been doing better. It's been about 4 months since that conversation, and our communication dynamic has completely changed. Emma still reaches out when she needs help. That's what siblings do for each other, but she also texts me random funny things she sees, asks about my day, remembers things I've told her about my life and follows up on them later. And when I text her, she responds in a reasonable amount of time. Not always immediately, but within a few hours usually. Like a normal person having a normal conversation with someone they care about. More importantly, she stopped treating her problems like my emergencies. She'll ask for advice, but she doesn't frame every request like the world is ending if I don't respond immediately. And she started prefacing her requests with things like, "No rush, but when you have a chance," or "if you're not too busy this weekend." It's amazing how much respect those little phrases convey. They acknowledge that I have my own life and priorities, that my time has value, that helping her is a choice I'm making rather than an obligation I'm required to fulfill. The whole experience taught me something important about boundaries and relationships. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to stop enabling their inconsiderate behavior, even if that means they experience some discomfort in the short term. By always being instantly available to Emma, I had actually been preventing her from learning how to manage her own problems and respect other people's time. I thought I was being a good brother, but I was actually being a crutch that was keeping her from developing better communication and coping skills. And by matching her energy instead of trying to lecture her about it, I let her experience the natural consequences of her behavior without creating a big confrontation that would have made her defensive. She learned the lesson because she felt it, not because I tried to teach it to her with words. The funny thing is, our relationship is closer now than it's been in years. When someone respects your time and energy, it makes you want to share more of both with them. When someone values your presence instead of taking it for granted, you want to be present more often. Emma and I text regularly now, but it feels completely different. It's reciprocal, it's respectful, and it's genuine. We make plans to hang out just because we enjoy each other's company, not because one of us needs something from the other. And when one of us does need help, it actually means something. Because we've both learned that the other person's availability isn't infinite or unconditional. It's a gift that should be appreciated, not expected. Looking back, I wish I'd set these boundaries years earlier. I wish I'd recognized sooner that being constantly available to someone doesn't make you a good sibling, friend, or family member, it just makes you an enabler. Real relationships require mutual respect, mutual effort, and mutual consideration. When only one person is doing the work of maintaining the connection, it's not actually a relationship, it's just one person serving another person's needs. But I'm proud of how I handled this situation. Instead of having a big dramatic confrontation or cutting Emma off completely, I found a way to teach her about respect and reciprocity by simply modeling the behavior I wanted to see from her. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop doing the thing you've always done. Stop being available instantly. Stop dropping everything for someone else's non-emergencies. Stop accepting scraps of attention and effort from people who expect your full devotion in return. It doesn't mean you love them less. It just means you love yourself enough to require mutual respect in your relationships. So if you're dealing with someone in your life who treats you like their personal emergency contact while giving you nothing in return, maybe it's time to try what I did. Match their energy. Show them what it feels like to be on the other side of that dynamic. You might be surprised by how quickly they learn to value your time when it's not guaranteed to be available instantly. And who knows? You might end up with a stronger, more respectful relationship because of it. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your own experiences with family dynamics and setting boundaries. Drop a comment below telling me about a time when you had to teach someone to respect your time and energy. Have you ever tried the match their energy approach? How did it work out for you? And if you enjoyed this story of perfectly petty but ultimately successful boundary setting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because I've got plenty more stories about family drama, workplace revenge, and life lessons learned the hard way. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, remember, you're not anyone's backup notification system. You deserve relationships where your time and energy are valued just as much as you value others. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.